My name is Nelly, and until recently, I believed I had my life under control, navigating its challenges with a steady hand. For the past decade, I've climbed the ranks at Wilson and Clarke Trading, a bustling firm where I now lead a department. The hours are grueling, often stretching late into the evening, but the paycheck is substantial, providing the stability I've needed since my divorce 3 years ago. My ex-husband, Mark, and I parted on amicable terms, recognizing we'd drifted apart over time. For the sake of our son, Jake, we've maintained a cordial relationship. Mark, a freelance graphic designer with a flexible schedule, picks Jake up from school most days, while I collect him from Mark's place after work. It's a system that suits us, I often tell myself, and Jake, a bright and adaptable 8-year-old, seems to thrive despite splitting time between two homes. One Friday evening, as we drove home through the city's glowing streets, Jake's voice piped up from the back seat. "Mommy, can we visit Grandma and Grandpa this weekend? I miss playing with Emily and Zach." Glancing at my phone's calendar at a red light, I realized it had been nearly a month since our last family gathering. "Sure, honey," I replied with a smile. "I'll call Grandma tomorrow." Truthfully, I'd been avoiding these dinners. My younger sister, Vanessa, has always been the family's golden child, and since marrying Robert and having their 2 children, Emily and Zach, she's become insufferable, constantly boasting about her idyllic family life. At every gathering, she finds subtle ways to highlight my divorce, as if it defines my worth. "Just wait until you see what Robert got me for our anniversary," she'd say, flaunting a sparkling bracelet, only to add with feigned sympathy, "It must be so tough managing everything alone, Nelly." I try not to let her words sting. Vanessa's always envied my career achievements, having dropped out of college to marry Robert, a mid-level insurance salesman. Their finances are perpetually strained, especially with 2 kids, while I've built a comfortable life for Jake and myself. What frustrates me most is Vanessa's hypocrisy. Despite her condescending remarks, she never hesitates to ask for financial help. "Nelly, Emily needs braces, and our insurance won't cover it. Can you help until Robert's next commission?" Or, "Nelly, our car's transmission failed. Could you lend us $3,000? We'll repay you by summer." She's never repaid a cent, and I've never pressed her. It's simpler that way. My parents aren't much different. 3 years ago, Dad lost his job when his company downsized, and Mom, retired from teaching due to arthritis, could no longer contribute. They called me in tears, terrified of losing their home. At their age, Dad couldn't find new work, and what began as a one-time bailout became a monthly obligation. For 3 years, I've sent them $1,500 each month to cover utilities and bills, stretching my budget thin. I don't resent it. They're my parents, but it's a heavy load. Saturday morning, I called Mom to confirm we'd come for dinner on Sunday. "Oh, that's wonderful, Nelly," she said, her voice warm. "Vanessa and her family will be there too. I'm making pot roast." Jake buzzed with excitement all weekend. "I can't wait to show Zach my new Minecraft world," he said as we drove to my parents' modest suburban home on Sunday afternoon. Vanessa's car was already in the driveway when we arrived. Jake raced ahead to join his cousins, while I grabbed the apple pie I'd bought from a local bakery. Baking from scratch, like Mom and Vanessa, was a luxury my schedule didn't allow. Inside, the house smelled of roasting meat and nostalgia. I hugged Mom in the kitchen and began setting the table, catching snippets of Vanessa and Robert's animated conversation with Dad in the living room. "It's a sure thing, Dad," Robert said eagerly. "We've researched it thoroughly. This food truck, authentic Filipino fusion cuisine, will be a hit. No one's doing it here." Vanessa chimed in. "We'll be our own bosses, financially independent at last." I bit my lip to stifle a laugh. Neither had ever run a business, and Robert's culinary skills were dubious. Last Christmas, he'd charred the mac and cheese. Still, I kept quiet and focused on arranging the silverware. When Mom called us to dinner, we gathered around the table, the kids, Jake, Emily, and Zach, giggling over Zach's tablet. "Kids, put that away," Vanessa said sharply, then turned to the adults with a beaming smile. "We have big news. Robert and I are launching a food truck business specializing in Filipino fusion cuisine. We've found the perfect truck, and Robert's grandmother left him incredible recipes. My parents murmured enthusiastic support. That's wonderful, honey, Mom said. You've always been so creative. Vanessa's smile widened, but then she cleared her throat. We just need startup capital, about $150,000. The room fell silent. My fork hovered midair. Mom and Dad exchanged uneasy glances. We'd love to help, sweetheart, Dad said slowly, but we don't have that kind of money. All eyes turned to me, as if I were expected to fund Vanessa's whimsical venture. I'm sorry, I said firmly, but I don't have that kind of money either. Vanessa's smile faltered. What do you mean? You got a big divorce settlement. You and Mark were saving for a house. I took a sip of water, steadying myself. That money's in Jake's college fund, I replied, which was partly true. I'd also invested some for my retirement, knowing no one else was securing my future. You make great money at your job, Vanessa pressed. You could take out a loan. The bank would approve you with your credit score. I was stunned. You want me to go into debt for your business idea? I asked. Robert jumped in. It's not just an idea. We've planned everything. We'll repay you once we're profitable. And when will that be? I countered, keeping my tone even. Have you calculated operating costs? Your break-even point? Do you have any food service experience? Vanessa's face flushed. You don't need to be condescending just because you have a fancy corporate job. Not everyone wants to be a wage slave. I'm not being condescending, I said calmly. I'm asking questions any investor would. You should consult a business advisor. Food trucks and restaurants have high failure rates. Vanessa slammed her hand on the table, rattling the silverware. You're just jealous, she shouted. Jealous that I have a real family while you're divorced, stuck in your cubicle taking orders. The kids froze, eyes wide. Vanessa stood, nearly toppling her chair. Come on, Robert. Kids, get your things. We're leaving. Robert followed reluctantly, and the kids, confused, scrambled after them. The front door slammed, leaving an awkward silence. Dad sighed heavily. Nelly, your sister's been dreaming about this for months. You know how much it means to her. I couldn't believe it. Dad, they have no business plan, no experience, and they're asking for $150,000. Would you invest in that? Mom's voice was soft but firm. It's not about investing, Nelly. It's about supporting family. My anger flared. I support this family plenty. I've sent you $1,500 every month for 3 years. I've loaned Vanessa money she's never repaid. I'm not a bank. The weight of their expectations hung heavy, and for the first time, I wondered if supporting my family meant sacrificing my own stability. How much more support am I supposed to give? I asked, my voice tight with frustration. Mom's response was calm, but cutting. That's different, Nelly. We needed help and you could afford it. I stared at her, incredulous. And now I'm saying I can't afford to give Vanessa $150,000. Why is that so hard to accept? Dad shook his head, his expression heavy with disappointment. Your sister is trying to build something for her family. You could at least consider helping her. The air felt stifling, their words pressing against me like a weight. I stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. I'm not changing my mind about this. Vanessa needs to face reality, and you both need to stop enabling her. I called to Jake, who hugged his grandparents reluctantly, his small face clouded with confusion. The drive home was silent, Jake staring out the window at the passing streetlights. Are Aunt Vanessa and Uncle Robert mad at us? He asked quietly. I searched for words a 9-year-old could understand. They're just disappointed, honey. Sometimes adults get upset when things don't go their way. I thought that would be the end of it. Vanessa would cool off, realize her demands were unreasonable, and we'd move forward. I was mistaken. The calls began the next day, first from Vanessa, then Robert, then both together. I answered the first call, hoping to reason with them. I've thought it over, and my answer is still no, I said firmly. I'm not taking out a loan for your business. Vanessa's voice was sharp. You're just selfish. You don't want us to succeed because then you wouldn't be the successful one anymore. I sighed, exasperated. That's ridiculous. I want you to succeed, but this isn't the right approach. Don't tell me how to live my life, she snapped. Just admit you're too greedy to help your own sister. After that, I stopped answering. The text messages were worse, venomous accusations. You've always been jealous of me. You look down on us because we don't have fancy degrees. Selfish bastard. You'll regret this when we're successful. I considered asking my parents to mediate, but their stance was clear. So I blocked Vanessa's number and tried to focus on work and Jake. 2 months passed. I skipped the monthly family dinners, citing work deadlines to avoid another confrontation. Jake kept asking about his cousins, and guilt gnawed at me for keeping him from them, but I couldn't face Vanessa's hostility. My only contact with my parents was Mom's monthly calls, now cold and transactional. Just checking you'll transfer the money tomorrow. She'd say, no warmth. No questions about Jake or me. Yes, Mom. It'll be there. I'd reply. Good. Your father's prescription costs went up again. That was it. No, I miss you. Or how's Jake doing in school? Just a business-like confirmation of the $1,500 I sent monthly. One evening, Jake looked up from his homework, his brow furrowed. Mom, why don't we see Grandma and Grandpa anymore? Did they do something bad? I sat beside him, grappling with how to explain adult conflicts to a child. No, honey. We're just taking a break from family dinners. Sometimes grown-ups need space. He nodded, seemingly satisfied, but his question lingered. Thanksgiving was approaching, a holiday we always spent in my parents' house. This year, they hadn't invited us, but I couldn't let Jake miss out on tradition because of our feud. The Wednesday before, I asked, Are you excited to see Grandma and Grandpa tomorrow? His face lit up. Yeah. Will Grandma make her special stuffing? I hesitated. I'm not sure we're invited this year, honey. His smile faded. Why not? We always go. His disappointment pierced me. You know what? You're right. We'll go anyway. I'm sure they'll be happy to see us. I wasn't certain, but I refused to let Jake suffer for adult disputes. Thanksgiving morning, I woke early to prepare my signature sweet potato casserole, its warm, sugary aroma filling the kitchen. Jake helped cover it with foil, his excitement infectious. We arrived at my parents' house around noon, the driveway crowded with cars, Vanessa's SUV, and those of my aunts and uncles. Jake raced to the door, ringing the bell with a grin. Mom answered, but her smile froze when she saw me. Nelly, she said, her tone more surprised than welcoming. We weren't expecting you. It's Thanksgiving, I replied simply. We always come. She hesitated, glancing inside where voices and laughter spilled from the living room. Well, come in, she said finally, stepping aside. Jake, your cousins are in the basement playing video games. He darted off, and I followed Mom, clutching my casserole. The house smelled of turkey and nostalgia, but the atmosphere was tense. In the dining room, Vanessa was setting the table. Her eyes narrowed when she saw me. What is she doing here? She demanded, glaring at Mom. I stepped forward, offering the casserole as a peace gesture. I brought sweet potato casserole. Vanessa snatched it from my hands and, to my shock, marched to the kitchen garbage can, dumping it inside. We don't need anything from you, she spat. You're not welcome here. Get out. Mom gasped but didn't intervene. Dad appeared in the doorway, confused. What's going on? Nelly showed up uninvited, Vanessa said, after refusing to help us, after ignoring everyone for months. She thinks she can waltz and like nothing happened. I started to respond, but Vanessa cut me off. You don't get to pick and choose when to be family. You made your choice when you refused to support us. She stormed toward the basement, and I followed, worried about what she might say to the kids. There, Jake, Emily, and Zach were engrossed in a video game. Emily, Zach, come here now, Vanessa commanded. Confused, they looked up. She grabbed their arms, pulling them away from Jake. You are not to play with him, she said loudly, pointing at Jake. His mother is a bad person who doesn't care about family, and he'll probably turn out just like her. Jake's face crumpled, tears welling. "Mom," he called, his voice breaking. I stood frozen, stunned by her cruelty. Dad appeared on the stairs. "Nelly, I think you and Jake should leave," he said firmly. I turned to him, disbelieving. "Dad, Vanessa just said horrible things to Jake. He's 9. This is our house," Dad replied. "And frankly, you've caused enough problems. If you'd helped your sister, none of this would be happening." Mom stood silently at the top of the stairs, avoiding my gaze. My aunts and uncles, likely in the living room, stayed out of sight. "Fine," I said, my voice trembling with anger and hurt. "Come on, Jake." I took his hand, leading him upstairs as he cried silently, tears streaming down his cheeks. Pausing by Mom, I said quietly, "I can't believe you're letting this happen to your own grandson." She met my eyes briefly. "You brought this on yourself, Nelly. Family supports family." We left without another word. In the car, Jake was inconsolable. I started the engine, unsure where to go. An empty house on Thanksgiving felt unbearable. Then an idea struck. "Hey, how about we visit Grandma and Grandpa Miller instead? I bet they'd love to see us." I called Mark, explaining the situation. "That's awful," he said. "Come over. Mom always makes too much food, and they adore Jake." At the Miller's house, Mark's parents welcomed us with open arms. His mom hugged me tightly. "You poor thing. Family conflicts are the worst, especially on holidays." Over dinner, I shared the full story, Vanessa's business idea, her demands for money, and how my parents sided with her. "I always thought your parents favored Vanessa too much," Mark's mom said gently. "Even when we met you in college." I nodded, the truth settling in. I never wanted to see it, but I can't deny it now. Despite the morning's pain, the evening was warm and joyful. Jake cheered up, playing board games with Mark and his grandfather, and for a few hours, I felt part of a family that valued me, not just my wallet. Driving home that night, I made a decision. At our apartment, I logged into my banking app and canceled the recurring $1,500 payment to my parents. For the first time in years, I fell asleep unburdened by the weight of others' expectations. 2 weeks passed without contact from my family, no calls, no texts, not even from Mom, who'd always been prompt to confirm her monthly payment. I threw myself into work and focused on making Christmas special for Jake, determined to rebuild our holiday joy after Thanksgiving's heartbreak. One evening, my phone lit up with Mom's number. I hesitated, nearly letting it go to voicemail, but curiosity won out. "Nelly, it's Mom," she said, her voice taut with strain. "There must be some mistake with the bank. We didn't receive your monthly transfer." No greeting, no apology for Thanksgiving, just straight to the money. Something inside me hardened, a resolve I hadn't felt before. "There's no mistake," I replied evenly. "I canceled it." A heavy silence hung on the line. "What do you mean you canceled it?" Mom's voice rose. "You can't do that. We're counting on that money for our bills." "I can and I did," I said, my tone steady. "After what happened at Thanksgiving, I don't think I owe you anything." "Nelly, that was a misunderstanding," she protested. "Your sister was upset, and things got out of hand." I couldn't believe her words. "A misunderstanding? You and Dad kicked out your grandson on Thanksgiving. Vanessa told her kids not to play with Jake because he's bad. And none of you stopped her." "We were upset," Mom said weakly. "People say things they don't mean when they're upset." "Well, I meant what I said," I countered. "I'm done sending money." Mom's tone shifted, sharp and accusing. "You have no right to do this to us after everything we've done for you. We raised you, paid for college, and I've been paying you back for 3 years. I interrupted. $1, $500 every month. That's $54,000, Mom. I think we're square." "This isn't about keeping score," she snapped. "We're your parents. You're obligated to help us." "Funny," I said, my voice cold. "I didn't feel like your daughter when you chose Vanessa over me and Jake. You're supposed to be his grandparents, but you let her treat him terribly. You're just being vindictive because we supported your sister's business loan," she accused. "This is petty, Nelly. Think what you want. I'm done." I hung up, my heart pounding but resolute. The calls flooded in after that: Dad, Vanessa, even aunts and uncles I rarely spoke to. I refused to answer. When calls failed, they escalated. One afternoon, my assistant interrupted a meeting. "Sorry, Nelly, your parents are in reception. They're insisting on seeing you." I excused myself, my stomach nodding. In the lobby, Mom and Dad looked disheveled, desperation etched on their faces. "This is inappropriate," I said quietly. "I'm at work." "You won't answer our calls," Dad said, his voice tight. "What choice did we have?" "I've said everything I need to," I replied. "Please leave before I call security." Mom burst into tears, a familiar tactic that once would have swayed me. "How can you be so cruel? We might lose our house." "I've supported you for 3 years," I said, unmoved. "I have my own family to think about now. Find another solution." Dad's face reddened.
Fine.
"But don't come crawling back when you need something." I nearly laughed. When have I ever crawled to you for help? It's always been the other way around. I nodded to the security guard. "Please escort them out." As they left, Mom shouted, "Your sister was right about you all along." That night, a text from Vanessa arrived. "You vengeful, selfish bastard. Mom and Dad might lose their house because of you. I hope you're happy, Miss High and Mighty Corporate Drone." I blocked her number, then blocked my parents and extended family on every platform. The act felt surprisingly liberating, like shedding a weight I'd carried too long. A month later, I ran into my cousin Rachel at the grocery store. She looked uneasy. "How are you, Nelly?" she asked cautiously. "I'm good, thanks. How about you?" She hesitated. "Your mom asked me to talk to you. They had to take out a loan for their mortgage. They say you abandoned them because you're bitter about your divorce and jealous of Vanessa's happy marriage." I shook my head. "Is that what they're telling everyone?" "Pretty much," Rachel said. "And Vanessa's been asking everyone for money for her food truck. She even approached my husband for a $150,000 loan. Can you believe it?" I smirked. "Did she say I refused because I'm jealous?" Rachel snorted. "Something like that. Nobody's buying it, though. We all know how Vanessa is about money. Remember my wedding when she tried to talk me out of the open bar because it was wasteful?" We laughed, and it felt good to know not everyone had turned against me. "How's Jake doing?" Rachel asked, her tone softening. "He misses his cousins, but he's resilient. We spent Christmas with my ex-husband's family, and they've been wonderful." "I'm glad," she said. "Listen, Emily and Zach's birthday party is next month. I'll be there with my kids. Maybe Jake could come? I'll pick him up and bring him home, so you don't have to see Vanessa." I considered it. "That's kind of you, but I don't want Jake caught in adult conflicts. Let's plan a playdate with your kids instead." Rachel nodded, understanding. As I finished shopping, a lightness settled over me. The monthly financial drain was gone, and with it, the emotional toll of trying to please a family that never seemed satisfied. That evening, Jake looked up from his homework, his eyes serious. "Mom, are we ever going to see Grandma and Grandpa again?" I sat beside him, choosing my words carefully. "I don't know, buddy. Right now, we need time apart because they were unkind to us at Thanksgiving, and sometimes adults disagree about important things." He tilted his head. "Like when Zach and I argued about which Pokemon is best and didn't talk for a day?" I smiled. "Something like that, but more serious. But no matter what, you'll always have me, Dad, and Grandma and Grandpa Miller, who love you so much." He nodded, returning to his homework, seemingly content. For me, the moment was a turning point. After years of being the family's ATM, I was finally prioritizing Jake and myself, investing in our future instead of others' demands. Please feel free to comment below if you liked this. Remember to like and subscribe for more.